Hello, this is Bill Meridian speaking to you today, February 11th, 2019. This is the fifth in a series of presentations under the Cycles Research Mundane Global Scan based upon the book Mastering Geopolitical Predictions. The last time we looked at the power points in the Zodiac, we looked at the world points. Now we're going to look at the heliocentric nodes and the invariable plane. The power points are fixed points in the Zodiac, as I said in the last presentation. The points actually move about a degree every 72 years. This is the subject of my book. It's one of the chapters. The power points are the cardinal points, covered last time, the planetary nodes, covered today, the invariable plane, which we'll also cover today. We're not looking at the galactic center today. The heliocentric nodes are caused by the intersection of two planes. These points are infinitely distant. If you took two pieces of paper and you put them together, one edge on the surface of another, and you projected it all the way out, it would go all the way into infinity. To prove this out to yourself, just get an astrology program on the screen, calculate a geo and a helio chart for the same moment, for today, let's say. And the difference between the helio and the geo, Pluto, for example, will be only minutes. And the planets, of course, Pluto is at a known distance. The helio nodes are at an unknown distance. They're infinite. So the difference between the helio and the geo nodes is infinitesimal. You may have heard about the geo nodes used by Dr. Zipporah Dobbins. Charles Jane had the greatest respect for her work, but he said that the geo nodes simply meant something different than the helio nodes. So, some things you should know. The north and the south nodes are always exactly opposite. Planets at these degrees will express their energy with the color of the nodes. In other words, the flavor of the planets, Mercury, Mars, Venus. In solar fire, if you want to see the heliocentric nodes and get their locations today, select the heliocentric natal chart in the opening screen. Once it's up, you go to Reports on the right, go down the list and select Planetary Nodes, and you will see their positions on the page. If you select a geocentric chart, Reports will show the geo nodes. Here are the helio nodes today as I'm speaking. Mercury, 18 Taurus, 33, and you will notice it is in the same place as Mars, 19 Taurus, 42. Venus is at 16 Gemini, 50. Jupiter, 10 Cancer, 39. Saturn, 23 Cancer, 49. Uranus, 14 Gemini, 06. Neptune, 11 Leo, 59. And Pluto, 20 Cancer, 33. Now, as I said, the nodes carry the flavor of the planets. The north node, I feel, represents real needs, and the south node, false needs. So the north node of Jupiter will bring out the positive traits of Jupiter, whereas the south node will be charged with the negative traits of that planet. Any natal planets near these degrees pick up an extra charge of energy. And I already noted the nodes of Mercury and Mars are in the same place, as are the nodes of Saturn and Pluto. They're a conjunct. So my Mercury is at 18 Taurus. It looks like a boring old Mercury in Taurus, and I guess we don't talk a lot and are not too sharp or whatever, but that Mercury, my Mercury, is conjunct the nodes of Mercury and Mars. And I talked fast for New York, so when I got to the Middle East, the Arabs were always asking me to slow down. Now, the USA Sun is conjunct the Jupiter North Node, explaining its expansion, imperialism, its wealth. And the Saudi Sun is conjunct the Saturn-Pluto nodes, explaining why Saudi Arabia is a restrictive Saturn-Pluto type of entity. Now, just to give you some extra notes, the people born with their sun on the Helio North Jupiter node, which is 10 Cancer, tend to be expansive, they tend to be wealthy, they tend to be philanthropic. Examples: Mike Millen, the junk bond king. Leona Helmsley, known as the Queen of Mean, the leading real estate lady in New York. The ball player Dave Winfield of the Yankees. He was 6'7". He was quite boisterous, also quite generous. The Dave Winfield Foundation. And I did have a friend in the investment business, Sun at 10 Cancer, same way. And by the way, when Jupiter was opposite Saturn and Neptune, that was 89-90, all of them had difficulties, all of the above entities. Milken and Helmsley went to jail. Dave Winfield actually hit a fly ball at a game in Toronto that hit and killed a seagull in flight, if you could believe that. And for that, they had to take him down to the police station. Of course, they didn't charge him. It was just a show. And my friend, whom I mentioned, he was up in Connecticut. He almost went broke at that time, but managed to turn his business around. And advice to all the young gentlemen out there, don't date girls with their moon or Saturn descendant axes in the Saturn-Pluto helionode axis, which is 2023 Cancer Capricorn, unless you like being told what to do all the time. Now, the world points play a great part in the horoscopes of national charts, and this old presentation which I put together, and by the way, I did not get high grades in art class, why this is a little bit rough looking, but you will note I have at the top the Jupiter symbol, the Pluto, and the Saturn symbols representing their nodes. IP is the invariable plane, which is at 13 Cancer Capricorn, approximately. And you will notice Indonesia has its sun at 5 Capricorn. The USSR 1922 chart has its sun at 8 Capricorn. China Republic 9 Capricorn. Australia 10 Capricorn. Sudan 1956 chart 10 Capricorn. Syria 1925 and the 1944 charts sun at 10 Capricorn. UK 1801 chart 10 Capricorn. Haiti 10 Capricorn. Communist Cuba 11 Capricorn. Burma, which is Myanmar now, 12 Capricorn. And Japan 1868 chart for restoration of imperial authority has a sun at 12 Capricorn in a monster T-square. It's a quite fascinating chart. Of course, the USA sun, as we know, is 13 Cancer. And you can look around the wheel here. Islamic People's Republic, 11 Aries. They're all in the axes of Jupiter, Saturn, or Pluto, or the invariable plane. It is my contention that the suns of these charts pick up extra energy. That's why these countries sustain, and it also flavors their form of governance. Now, if you go to the next slide, the invariable plane. Jane worked with the invariable plane, which was discovered by the French astronomer Laplace. It is the average plane of the solar system. Each of the planets has an orbit which traces out a plane. If an average is taken which takes into account the masses of the planets, we have the invariable plane. Here is one way to look at it. Jade commented that it is the plane where latitudes net out to zero. Rob Hand once said to me, it is the plane where all planetary velocities net out to zero. The plane has a mean inclination of 1 degree and 35 minutes to the solar ecliptic. With all of the objects in space whirling around in various states of motion, really perpetual motion, the remarkable attribute of this invariable plane is that it does not move. Thus it's called the invariable plane. So as Jane wrote in DeVore's Encyclopedia of Astrology, thus the solar system, through an intricate process of mutual adjustment, maintains its basic configurations of orbits and its stability. As one planet decreases its eccentricity and inclination, one or more of the orbits must at the same time be increasing their eccentricities and inclinations, whereby the total amount of eccentricity and of inclination to the invariable plane remains constant. This has been termed the Magna Carta of the solar system. The late Ernest W. Brown showed that the effects of resonance could not have been great enough within the past 100 million years to have destroyed the stability, nor would it be likely to do so in the next 100 million years. Keyword, stability. The effect of the invariable plane, which I've studied since the 80s, Jane suggested it's 13 to 14 degrees Cancer. And of course, if you're adjusting that 1 degree for every 72 years, it may be moving. There's a bit of dispute on this, but I use 13, 14 Cancer. The USA Sun is at 13 Cancer, square Saturn at 14 Libra. Libra, the scales of justice, And the Weekly Reader newspaper in the 1950s, when I was in school, which was our introduction to indoctrination, told us that the USA must act as the big global policeman. That is symbolized by Sun square Saturn in the invariable plane. Transits at these degrees can upset the global balance. Do you remember 1989 when the Berlin Wall fell? Jupiter was opposite Saturn, and Saturn was conjunct Neptune. In 1990-91, the Gulf War occurred when Uranus and Neptune were transiting 13 Capricorn. I had a friend who was in real estate. His son was 13 Capricorn, and I asked him what it was like to be in such a large company, and he said, Bill, it's like being caught between opposing forces. We have some guys on one side who want to do one thing with the company, other guys on the other side who want to do another thing, and I'm in the middle. So if you have natal planets in that degree, you may feel very much that way. I have Neptune in the 9th at 13 Libra, and I certainly have felt that way, caught between opposing philosophies in whatever organization I have been in. So those are the points. The principles we used: planets at the helionodes are important. Planets at the invariable plane hold energies in balance. This is important. When you look at national horoscopes, you will see that the very long-lasting ones have planets at these degrees, which means they're picking up extra power. YouTube videos at the Mastering Political Prediction channel. There are 4: China and the USA, Trump's birth time, impeachment, PowerPoints in the Zodiac, the world points, and of course, let's not forget the book, Mastering Geopolitical Prediction, Applied Mundane Astrology, and this is available at BillMeridian.com. Thank you for listening. Until the next time, which should be within the next few weeks. Bye-bye.